Everybody has been through a heartbreak. Someone that they liked that unfortunately did not like them back as much as they liked, as we talked about in the previous episode. The one that wins in love is the one who loves less. Now, as it comes to this topic, there are different ways to love, and not all of them are compatible. And we can explore this in depth today, Stan. But people love at different depths, they love in different ways. Certain things bring them closer together to you, and other things push them away. And so, one thing I'm curious to explore today is how we can transmute heartbreak and pain, which happens to all of us, for one cannot truly love if they do not risk being hurt, if you remain closed off, just like many girls spread their legs, but they do not open their heart. So, let's explore, Stan. What do you make of the dating marketplace in the world that we live in, and people are afraid to be themselves and to be open for fear of being hurt again? And I would like to explore after that this idea of how do you use pain constructively? Because pain happens to all of us, and the difference between the master and the novice is how pain happens to both, but how he uses that to make himself even greater, to make it burn in his eternal flame. We can talk about amor fati and things like this, but I'm handing it to you, Stan.
That's a great question. Well, first of all, I would say to the guys who go through heartbreaks that you're not just grieving the person that you lost, right? You're also grieving the imagination that you created. In the same time, you grieving the routines, inside jokes, the plans, the future that you imagined with that person. So half of this pain exists within you, within your body, right? Um, Basically, if you can choose the better perspective for yourself, a new perspective, right? Half of this pain would go away. Another part of that will stay as the beautiful memory. And actually, every heartbreak shows you um, at what stage of spiritual development you are, or masculine
Wow.
development you are right now. What parts of you still need to explore, to heal, to navigate. And obviously in the land of women as well. So, and I
So,
understand
Stan,
many of the guys most likely they think, what if she will go and treat another person better than she treated me? Well, what if you will meet the girl who will treat you the way you wanted to be treated? What if you will meet the person who will give you everything you wanted to have?
will it
Uh,
push you away?
yeah, things that, well, yeah, the things that you've been called too much. What if there is someone who will love you for exactly these qualities?
Mhm.
So don't give up on yourself, gentlemen. Yeah.
The question that came to mind, Stan, when you're saying this, is the question of a sacred wound. Because you mentioned beautifully that there's different kinds of heartbreak that you go through.
Hmm.
And in a way, it's a mirror, the way women are mirrors for men, and a reflection of exactly where you are on your spiritual journey as it relates to the art of love and relationships. Some very thing, and we don't need to get into too many specifics, but all of us have that one heartbreak, the first girl that we fell in love with, the one that turned us on to all women. Actually, some guys never move on from that first heartbreak,
Hmm.
right? But that's a different heartbreak than spending many years of your life with the same person. Recently, I met this inspiring girl who sacrificed. She's probably watching this. You know who you are, sweetie. She spent 8 years in a relationship in her 20s, sacrificed partying completely to focus on building her body by going to the gym and building her business. She partied minorly and lived in Spain, of all places, and she knows who she is. But the heartbreak that comes after knowing that you spent the majority of your of your early adult life with the same person is different from puppy love and it not working out. It's different from a loved one passing away. That's also heartbreaking.
Hmm.
Before often we're ready for them to go. We don't need to go in that direction yet. But Will you use that pain for growth to become even greater than you've been, or will you suffer and become a victim and suffer? Well, you'll suffer, but will you stay weak? Or will you bounce back even stronger because of that pain? I call this the sacred wound because on the surface it sucks in the moment, but it is the exact reason that you might change everything. Sometimes you need to lose someone that you love to become the greatest version of yourself that you've ever been. That is
Yeah.
exactly what will result in that. And if you stay with them, you might be mediocre, ordinary. What do you think, Stan?
Well, I think it's many of the things they connected to fear of loneliness. Um, but once you understand, and if you don't understand that, that most likely you live in illusions. But all of us, we are lonely, and nobody will replace that loneliness, and nobody will ever understand you the way you understand yourself.
Mm.
All people can do, they can get closer to the way they see you. So that's exactly the reason why many of people spend in the 20s, 30s in the wrong places, wrong circumstances, wrong relationship. They afraid to stay alone with themselves and to hear that inner voice that talks to them, right? But in the end of the day, once you accept in the truth that you will be always lonely, you came to this world alone and you will leave this world alone. Part of this problem solves it itself. Doesn't mean that you need to become ascetic monk, but
Though you
you,
could be.
you also could be, right? There is
Yeah.
nothing about that. We have a lot of admiration for these people as well, because their dedication is very similar to the dedication of the guys who go in full force in the land of women, right? And yeah, you also, I think, partly when people spending their time in the wrong places, they think they also grow and get an experience and etc., right? Which is usually not true. If you fear of leaving someone and you stay and you're not getting new experiences, you just see the same pattern repeating itself again and again, right? And your healthy image of yourself, your boundaries, they become weaker, they become thinner, and it's basically just more difficult for you to get back to yourself.
So three words come to mind. One is death and rebirth. And two, I would like you to expand upon the concept you told me 2 years ago when we met, Stan, of not restoring beauty, but destroying beauty. There's a concept that I've been exploring recently in my own life and writing, which is this idea of letting a woman taste her own darkness without it harming her or destroying her in an actual sense.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't only relate to fantasy creation and fulfillment, but it can. And there's this idea that the integration of your own darkness, of going through hell and coming back a new person. For example, heartbreak is a manifestation of that, whether in personal relationships, friendships, family, things like this. Mm. And so, what is that role? And I'll give my definition after Stan. What is this destroying beauty idea to you? And what is it sounds like there's a transformational aspect to it, actually, the way that you meant it. Although I don't fully understand it yet because you never explained it.
First of all, I will say many people, it's kind of mini advice. If you once you getting close to something, it's that's why it's getting tough, right? That's why your
Mm.
defense mechanisms start work and activate, right? For many guys, they sabotage in the relationship the moment that they understand they might lose the fortress that they building for the long period of time, for never being hurt again, right?
The defenses are coming down to be real
Defense.
again.
Yes,
Yeah.
they start sabotaging the relationship, or when they need to find a place for that woman in their life, when they need to stop hiding behind the work, right? When they need to close the previous chapters in their life. So they're sabotaging all of that, right? But there is another part in this. The same happens for women. equally the same, maybe at some parts even more often, because women grow up in the circumstances that when they constantly judged, right? And mostly they judged by another woman. If she's wearing skirt too short, another woman will call her whore, not man.
Slut.
Yeah,
Yep.
but
Women.
women, yes.
Yeah.
And it starts basically with the way moms treat their daughters, right? Later on, teachers, classmates, and etc. And the woman grew up in the circumstances when she doesn't understand the separation between the way other people uh, see her and the way how she feels, right? So it's primal idea of status, right? We used to think if in our tribe people see us as the different, so we become ultimately the threat for the tribe, right? So sometimes that's why people and men and women cannot handle the fact when someone sees them as they are, right? And many men and many women, they becoming afraid because, oh, that's not the perfect picture that I try to show to this person. I'm not gonna let them get too close because then they will see not perfect me. When they will see mundane with me, they will be disappointed in me, and etc. And that's true. The wrong person might do that, right? But the right person usually will accept us as they are, as we are, right? So this primal thing is strongly affecting on all of us. I don't know. I responded to your question. Oh,
Yeah. Well, you reminded me of two things, which is one thing our friend and our mentor Jordan said. Mm, I had it. I forgot it. But please expand further. You're saying it very
yeah.
interesting, Stan.
So yeah. We can also navigate that idea of destroying beauty, not restoring beauty.
Yeah.
I think when we
But
just
you mean being seen as for who you are is a scary thing
yes,
without all the illusions and masks and defenses.
yes, it's the scary thing because ultimately behind that, if people will see me for who I am, they will leave me, right? But
Mm.
people usually don't realize that in the process of sabotaging, they show an even worse version during that
Mm.
period while they trying to defend that small version that they're afraid to show.
The
They show
comfortable version.
they show
Yeah.
in demons, right? One after another, they sabotage and they create circumstances that it's very difficult for their partner to navigate that, right? And they do not understand if it would be way easier if small demon would be shown to the world and presented that
Mhm.
a lot of them as the defense mechanism that comes later. And this happens to men and women equally, but I think it happens more often to women, and that's why men, a lot of men facing the situation when they feel like she's pushing him away and etc. And he feels like there is something bad with me. Uh, I need to work on myself, right? Which in fact there is the wall that she cannot overcome, and that's why I'm saying
Mm.
sometimes the destroying beauty it's also important part of that because sometimes we need to destroy that imaginary persona that we present to other people in case to show our authentic self to people, authentic self that might have flaws, might be jealous, might be uh, judgmental towards other people, might be honest. And when you have that dark side, usually it doesn't have that urge to show up because you do not suppress it anymore.
Mhm.
And this is what, in our times, I think more often people start to um, encounter, partly because we live right now in the era when everything is recorded on social media, cameras, clubs has cameras, everyone taking pictures, and people always feel like eyes on them.
Yeah.
Uh,
So they're performing full time.
yes.
Okay. So I want to ask you, Stan, because the phrase that I was thinking of from Jordan was, "Who do you make God?" is from his movies course that he ran 2 summers ago. Who do you
Mhm.
make God in the relationship? Do you, the man, be as God, or do you make her the goddess in the relationship? And does it have to be this power dynamic? But at the same time, and this is referring to the first episode that we did, in The Hero of Our Time, Pechorin says that women are attracted to what they don't know. And so how do you navigate the mythologizations and the poeticizations of the partner that we do, men to women and women to men? And because you've said to me before, Stan, you said if a woman sees that you are not immortal, she becomes, and you're just mortal, just like the rest of us. She doesn't see you in the same way. It's not necessarily worse, right? Because that can't last forever.
Mm-hmm.
But how to tie these things together? There's a simultaneous balance of being human and being divine at the same time. But all of it has to be real in a sense. Otherwise, it's just a fantasy that isn't reality. It sounds like a lot of things in there.
Nothing wrong to show up vulnerable to the right person, right? If the person that you will show your vulnerability is not gonna punish you for that, right? Then you is the right person. So,
and if they left, they weren't your person. Is
exactly. As Dan says, it's just not your girl, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to the right woman, you can show your vulnerabilities and they will never use against you.
Mm-hmm. And to the wrong ones, they will use that shit against you.
Yeah, that happens a lot to guys.
Yeah.
But the point is that the idea of vulnerability in relationship, the same is for women and men. There is no separation. It's supposed to bring you closer, right? When you share something and the person that is attuned on the same frequency with you, they would love to say, well, I hear you, I understand what hurt you, what triggered you, and I would love to understand how I can do better, right? That's the same for women and the same for men. That's what the right person will do. The wrong people, they will use it against you. Mostly it comes with mockery, right? For men and women, men saying, oh, you're crazy, you need a therapist. And women say, oh, you're insecure, you're mature.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, my belief that you can show that you're mortal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not everyone will understand it correctly. And that's good criteria for you to understand that you're in the right place with the person, right? Yes. Because in the end of the day, conflicts are inventable, right? The ways that one of us will become vulnerable at one of the points are unescapable. That will happen, right? Either you will show up as not the untouchable version, right? At one point.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, does the repair happens after this, right? And the question of repair, it's not just apologizing. Repair, it's changing behavior, right? That's again comes to the question of trust that we've been navigating in other episodes. Trust comes back when you see that this person shows new patterns, new behavior, and you're getting used to this new behavior, because nervous system is not logical part, right? Nervous system needs to see consistency. And
wow. So Stan, there's like two things in there. So there's a difference, there's a difference between neediness and desire. There's a difference between vulnerability and weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is a key difference maker, it sounds like you were saying, is it's not that fucking up is the problem. As we talked about in the last episode, it's okay to fuck up. And you might lose some trust in the moment, but if there is a behavior change, it's like micro tears in a muscle. This is a good metaphor I heard from a close friend. Like you come back even stronger after you have this micro tear than you would have been before without that mistake. But without and talk is cheap, right? And actions matter more than words. Yep. But if there's a visible, either on the end of the man or the woman, change in behavior, the trust might come back even stronger than before.
Absolutely.
If there hadn't been a fuck up or a momentary break of trust. So it seems like vulnerability also can be to trust the person.
There is
change again.
That, it's let's say it's
especially when you've been hurt before. Yeah.
It's easier to trust someone who made a mistake and changed the behavior than to trust someone who never did a mistake.
Oh,
That's the biggest
yeah.
difference. Because the trust to the person who never did a mistake, it's just easy, it's a given, right? But the person who changed the behavior for you or became the best version for you, that's the beauty of that, right? Because a lot of men and women, they just say, well, you never trusted me. You never trusted me. Okay, but what did you do about that? Okay, I never. But what did you do about that? Because that's the question you need to ask. You cannot control another person. You cannot control the way they perceive you, right? You can do the best uh, on your side. If it lands with another person, you know, sincerely, you can say to yourself, I did my best. If she doesn't see that, I cannot do better. I did my best.
Yeah.
But the same advice is for women, you know. If you know that you invested everything into this relationship and there is nothing that your partner asked from you that never been fulfilled, then you can calmly leave. You can say I fulfilled everything. I basically I listened to everything and nothing changed. And it's understandable because it comes from the same previous experiences that women had in previous relationship. Many women being younger, they've been overdoing for another guys, right? And sometimes they get into relationship later with the right guy and then they don't do anything. The same for the guys. Guys learning the behavior, oh, I need to be nonchalant. Because when I'm nonchalant, she's asking me to do something. And he confuses. He thinks, oh, you see, she needs me so much. She's chasing me. She's asking the things from me. But sometimes it goes way too far, you know, when she's
Mm.
asking you not to spend 3 nights in a row in the club, you know. So maybe you need to hear to her and say, yeah, I need to give her attention. Or let's say when she's struggling with her family problems and she needs you, right? Maybe it's time to show up, you know, to find 1, 3, 5 days in the busy months to be there for the person. So these things that as the partner you need to notice. Uh, there is very important part to notice micro moments because not big conflict. Bukowski said it very well, you know. We are getting into mental hospital not because of big heartbreak. We get into the mental hospital when we are late to the bus that was important to us.
Mm.
Just combined pressure, pressure, pressure. And the last thing, very small, you just lost your bus. But it was the last drop. And a
The
switch happened.
straw that broke the camel's back. Right.
Eckhart
Yeah.
Tolle gave the very beautiful example about his spiritual awakening. He was so low, and just the small drop of feeling even worse kind of opened him in the end of the day. So it's also when we talk about heartbreaks, I believe this might be a very good thing, you know. Sometimes you might give everything to this relationship, right? You exhausted to the point that you cannot sleep, you cannot eat, your friends doesn't recognize you, you don't see your future without this woman, and then bam, on this very low, you completely clean from everything. You gave everything. And the
Yeah.
beauty of this difficult dynamics in that you can see a lot of your unhealthy patterns that you don't see when you staying alone or you meeting women in the club. But it's again, you know, many people will say, so this woman been prophetic to me, right? She opened the things. Well, uh, just the fact that she stayed with you and didn't leave you doesn't make her builder of relationship.
Hmm.
So, yes, that's also important part.
When you were sharing, Stan, the phrase came to mind: "The night is darkest right before the light comes out."
Mm-hmm,
And same in relationship, it's
mm-hmm,
across domains. And right when you have no hope is when something good happens, in a sense, right? So there's this idea of killing the old self and reinvention and evolution and
exactly.
pain and heartbreak and suffering is that you can view it as a curse or a blessing. It's a matter of perspective.
This is the sign of transformation. If it's painful, you transform it.
Yeah. And if you don't want to do it, it means you should do it, because there's a quote, the magic, in the work that you're avoiding is the magic you're looking for, or something like this.
Yes. There is Rumi said, through the wound that you have right now, God enters you. It's also,
That's where
very
the
old.
light gets in.
Yes,
Right.
that's very old
Yeah.
concept.
Mm-hmm. So in relationships and heartbreak, then to move the discussion forward a little bit.
You also wanted to share something you said. I will build up on this. I don't know what exactly you wanted
I
to
don't
share.
remember.
Okay. But I wanted just to say, that I think misconception that experienced all the generations before us, that we fell in love with the person in our imagination, and then we blame this person for not matching our standards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because my belief, usually you see all the red flags from the very beginning, but you choose for some reason perspective to believe that it's just a mistake. It will change. Yes, sometimes people do change, but it requires a lot of work, and first of all, it requires self-responsibility to ask the question, what did I do better, right? What did I do to change that?
You remind me of the quote from Vicky Cristina Barcelona, Stan. Sorry to interrupt you. About Javier Bardem says, it's romantic, speaking of Penelope Cruz, because it can't be fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of reflects what you're saying. Because we have rose-colored glasses at the start of a relationship and overlook things completely because they're perfect for that infatuation phase or that, right? And to tie it to a concept from Johnny Zaporno, he says, people often fall out of love because they fell in love with a person, a performance of a person, or a self-elevation of a person that wasn't actually that person. So then when over time passes and they revert back to their real selves, and the man stops buying flowers and chocolate because it wasn't who he was at the start of the relationship, it's like, where's that guy?
Yes.
And so oftentimes a woman's biggest fear is that she's just hoping that the man in front of her is actually who he is
on a
daily basis, and not a special version for her because he might like her and is acting different than he actually is. And while that doesn't mean he can't evolve, it oftentimes is not like a true version of himself in a sense of his baseline. It's temporary. And so of course when he goes back to his baseline, then they're not in love anymore because they were different people. Yeah.
In the moment when she's wondering where that first image of him disappeared, right?
Yeah.
He's saying to himself, "Oh, she's too young, or she's too old, or we live different rhythms, our lifestyle doesn't match," and he's just sabotaging the relationship while she's trying to understand where that first version disappeared. But in the fact, nobody did anything. It's just two people facing the reality, when before stepping into a relationship, they need to do a lot of work to close previous chapters, to work on themselves, as they call, to clean their house, right?
Yeah.
And instead of doing that work, because it's also it's a living comfort zone, right? The comfort that we've been building for many years. So instead of that, people choosing perspective on minimizing and sabotaging the relationship, mostly minimizing the advantages of their partner, right? And men doing this right now more often than women as well. But if you're strong man, you will say, "Hey, dear, you see, I see you worrying, but I'm still here with you. I'm here. I hear you that you worrying about me, or that I was there and came back very late, but I'm here with you."
Mm-hmm.
And that consistency, when she sees that consistently you're still there, it helps her to heal as well,
Yeah. So to transition the conversation a bit forward, Stan, there's often this idea of women asking, where are the real men? Why aren't there men that lead? But then when they actually meet a man like that they ask for, suddenly he's controlling, or suddenly he's imposing, or suddenly he is not what she asked for explicitly, because either she doesn't know what she wanted or she's not ready for what she asked for. What's the difference between a man that truly leads versus someone that's imposing and controlling?
Well, leading comes out of you wanting beautiful experience for you and for her. You see things that you would love to experience together, right? And controlling comes out of scarcity, that if she will act different way, she might cheat on you, she might leave you, and etc. So basically, I guess the easiest example is to say like this: the guy who wants beautiful experiences for him and for her, who wants to lead. He says, "Dear, let's jump on this adventure. I've booked the house there. Let's go there on Sunday, Saturday, whatever, right? Or I know you're tired with your work. I will come the next week and we'll see you. I know you cannot make it." And the guy who comes out of scarcity, he just says, "Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do. Stay here. Stay here. Stay here." That's a control, right? There is no joy and there is no adventure in the thing he is proposing, right? And of
So
course,
his comfort zone and control matters more to him than her full experience and happiness in a sense in that situation. Yeah.
yes, yes. And in this case, it's all that neediness. It's just becomes unbearable to woman, and she leaves.
Smothering.
Yeah, it's a common misconception, and many guys who are good with women in the clubs and bars, they think that they get rid out of that neediness, right? But when the same point comes into the relationship, right? When first day euphoria is disappearing and etc., they start realizing that they still feel neediness.
Mm-hmm.
Not many men can easily go with your woman not calling you for 3 nights in a row, you know. You definitely need to believe in yourself, first of all, that you're the best option that she has, you know. Because let's be honest, you know, every woman has a lot of options, but if you know for yourself that you've been kind to her, that you've been sexual in relationship, that you've been attentive to the way how she looks like, been complimenting her, being caring about her, being trying to support her as much as you can, either financially, either mentally, you've been in engaged into the life of her friends, asking how her friends doing, how the conversation she had went. If you're giving attention on her parents' health, on her dog's or cat's health, it shows that you did everything you could. Why would you think that she has other options? Why would you worry that she will go and cheat on you? In this case, you
Better
can be,
options.
yes, in this
Yeah.
case, you can be sure if she didn't call you for 3 days in a row, she was exhausted, she was tired. Yes, she could cheat as well. That's also might be the truth, you know. And you being perfect version of yourself doesn't guarantee that she won't
Still
find.
not might be good enough. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
That's the man to man world
Standards
that we live
that
in.
the standards that exist right now, it's something that not everyone can match. But what you
Yeah.
definitely can do is to focus on the idea what is the best for you.
And
Main,
in
yeah,
the mirror to that, Stan, is to be to a woman something that only she can get from you, whatever that is,
yes.
to be irreplaceable or one out of one.
If
I
you can
interrupted you.
maximize it of every area and every encounter that two of you have, perfect. But in my opinion, it's enough to make sure. You know, this is interesting thing because you might be perfect in 100 things, but usually she leaves because of one thing where you've been imperfect. So you don't need to over focus on how you present yourself to the person, right? Because in the end of the day, if woman or man wants to escape responsibility or feeling of shame, they will find the reasons for that. They will find the story that you told them years ago about your childhood or previous
Hmm.
experiences, and they will say,
Hmm.
that's where it comes from. Because in this case, we don't need to deal with our actions and the consequences of our actions, how they affected another person, how it made them feel. Because in this case, we have the answer. Oh, it's like this. But what did you do about that? That's the question that men and women need to ask in their relationship. Do I help my partner to heal? Do I help my partner to get to the new page? Or I'm still bringing the same difficult experiences to them?
Hmm.
Or I'm just neutral and don't do anything?
So,
Or I just don't live?
is their life better because I'm in it, actually? And probably surprisingly few uh, percentage. I mean, because if your life is worse or for your partner being in your life, why are they in your life, and vice versa for them? There's also this other flip side of that pattern. It's just I saw this quote yesterday. You laugh like a little girl, but you think
Mhm.
like a martyr, from Dostoevsky, from the Brothers Karamazov, right?
Yes.
And it's a shitty thing to say that sometimes, and we hinted at this briefly on the last episode. That's the pattern that a girl knows and can't help, even if she's mentally aware of it, keeps returning back to, because that's what her father was,
Hmm.
or that's what her
First text.
first love was, her first love or something, right? It was like, so that's all she knows.
Yes.
And so I wonder, from the guy's perspective, from our perspective, how do you imagine to show a girl like that a better way? And it's like asking your friend for help. It's like they might be in a bad situation, but it's often better
Mhm.
to ask, do you want my help with this? I would love to help. But if you don't want help, you're like, I'm not going to offer help, because some people don't actually want to change or to be helped, even in relationship and with partners. So sometimes, like, they like to stay there. They don't want to change it. So you, who loves them, is hurting yourself only, because they don't actually want to change. They want to stay in that pattern and comfortable. So you might say something like, okay, well, I'm here. My door's open to you. I love you always. But if you don't actually want to change, you don't actually want help, then the best thing I can do for you is to not hurt myself, because I love you and it pains me to see you keep going down this path. I'm thinking this from Johnny. It's a porno. The best, most loving thing I can do for you right now is to take a step back and leave until you come back to me and ask for my help. Something like this.
Hmm.
That's applicable across friendships, across relationships, across
Yes.
whatever.
Yes,
Imagine how
that's
sad you feel when you do something so good for someone and they can't appreciate your help. Sorry, Stan.
no, go ahead. That's amazing. I'm very
Yeah.
happy you touched that. Yes. Because we talk a lot about another person uh doing their best, but sometimes it's just not, like, let's say, if someone is willing to go to South America and someone is willing to go to Japan, there is nothing you can do about that, right? It's very rare couples who together decide to go to Egypt instead of everyone going separately. It's very
Timothy
rare
Hogan.
couples. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's what in my belief. And all you can do, as you mentioned just now beautifully, all you can do as the man is just give her time
Yeah.
and observe. Don't bring this topic every day, right? Do
Yeah.
it once a month just to see the progress, if there is the progress. If there is no progress, it's up to you to leave, right? Well, usually I would say, there is discussions about power dynamics, right? That in the relationship, first months is they're messy because people trying to understand who's gonna lead them. Unconsciously that happens, right? But when you have the long experience, longer than a couple months, most likely you might You just come to the question when you need to ask yourself, does this experience brings me something new, or I'm just staying out of fear of losing the person?
Mm-hmm.
So, because, um,
Better to be with someone, no matter how incompatible, than to be alone,
yeah,
right?
there is good saying, if someone is not on the same page as you are, it doesn't matter what tone or what words you will choose. You cannot push someone into something they do not want to do.
Unless they
And
truly
then there
want it
is,
to
sorry,
change. Unless they truly want to change to that.
unless they truly want to change. So
Yeah.
in this case, you need to decide, like, you need to admit, first of all, that your idea about that person being on the same page with you, it's your idea that belongs only to you. Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
If you still need to explain to her that experience with you would be beautiful and amazing, and she doesn't want that, most likely you're in the wrong place. And the same for women. If you're still asking your guy for the basic bare minimums, and he's not willing to give you, that means that his fear of losing you way smaller than fear of hurting you, you know?
Wow.
But again, there is no point to blame anyone, and to put responsibility, because there is a lot of people who just used to very little. They used to very little from their parents, after that from the next partners, and etc. Right? So they choose something familiar. They choose something that easier, and they know that they stay in the relationship that gives them 30% of intensity, right? But it's
Mm-hmm.
safe. I know I'm not gonna be hurt there. Because 30% if he will leave me, not gonna hurt me as the 100% if he will leave me, right? The guy
Yeah.
who is maximum capacity to show up for 30% will never bring the same. It's basically, women starts up, if woman, that's advice to you guys, if the woman that really liked you and you've been on the same page with you started to sabotage your relationship, it means you became very important to her. And she understands right now she might be hurt. So she's not going to invest into this relationship anymore.
Yep. If she went further, she knows that you touched her on a level that she's not comfortable with putting someone in a position to hurt her because she likes you. So take it as a compliment, actually, Stan.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
And
It
that's,
sounded, sorry, Stan. The thing I came up with before I hand it back to you was this idea that, so two things. One, it oftentimes we will choose to rather stay comfortable and even in a painful dynamic
mhm.
than to be uncomfortable in a more healthy, better dynamic. Because comfort, what we know, is more familiar than something that might be new. It's new and it's unfamiliar, even if it might be good for us. We will take the comfortable, painful often.
Yes.
Uh, yeah. So this thing you're exploring, I can speak to from very recent personal experience
Go ahead.
of self-sabotage. Two instances of just sometimes when, and actually this is funny you said that, because a phrase that a girl I really, really still care about said to me recently was, "You could really hurt me," and ultimately it's the woman's decision, right? We will. I thought while you were finally, I thought of this when you were sharing, Stan, of the phenomenon of a woman that's with a guy that's only a provider, that doesn't turn on her mind, her body, her spirit, her soul. And so she rebounds to the polar opposite of everything she was missing in that relationship. Some crazy artist, rock star, pirate, rock and roll, bad boy, whatever. Or the vice versa. She's loves the passion and the up and down of this kind of guy. And after that, she's like, oh, I don't want to even let someone even come close to hurting me again. So I'll be with a guy with money that can't make me feel anything. I'll take a guy like this, maybe get married to him after dating a guy like this, because that was missing the stability and routine and the comfort and the lack of, to be honest, someone with a stronger reality than her. She doesn't need to worry about this. It's like these overcompensations that we do when in reality, I think in a healthy dynamic, it's not about a perfect fit. There's no perfection, but one thing that's important in any relationship is that both are willing to grow and care enough for the other person, not to compromise from their true life path, but enough to at least learn from their mistakes in the context of that relationship at the very bare minimum, right? The phrase you said was so powerful, Stan, about that if someone really isn't changing, it means that they care less about hurting you than about,
Being hurt.
what did you say? That,
The
than about
fear
leaving
of
you.
hurt is way stronger than fear of hurting you.
Wow. So, oh no, that's also true, but that's not what you said, Stan. Like
I don't
they're
remember which one.
no. You said their fear of hurting you is much less than their fear of being left by
Yes,
you.
yes.
So, but what you said is the opposite. Or it's not opposite. It's different, but it's also true. Their fear of being hurt by you is greater than their fear of missing out on what is beautiful or possible by leaving you.
Mm-hmm.
So they would rather leave you and not know what could have been between you guys. And sweetie, if you're listening to this, you know who you are, sweetie. We were just in Turkey together. You
Oh,
would rather not to make this personal, but you would rather leave without knowing than risk the greatest love of your fucking life. But that would that would come with the territory of risking being hurt if you really felt something profound, and you would go with the safe option. I'm not talking to anyone personal here, obviously,
well, you're
but just to your
already.
point. But to your point, Stan, sometimes that is a safer option, but that's inside the comfort zone. But I would say true growth exists outside your comfort zone. Otherwise, you would already be there.
Well, I can
But you
tell
have
you
to respect a woman's choice always, even if they're
exactly.
sabotaging, even if you love her. Please continue, Stan.
I can tell you from my personal experience that for years I hear from women the same thing. Well, you will leave me anyway. You definitely have other women. You in very good mood today because you did something.
With another woman.
And
Yeah.
that yeah, obviously, right? That's the reason that scares women. If you're just in the good mood after the gym, no.
No, you were cheating on me, right? That's why you're in a good mood.
So what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say, none of these things ever fulfilled, right? It's just an
Yeah.
assumption.
Yeah.
It's only an assumption. And she lets this assumption to ruin her relationship, the potentiality of beautiful
The
relationship.
overthinking, or Sam, what was it? Self-sabotage and overthinking. She
Mhm.
destroys the relationship in her own imagination, actually. And we men do the same as well. But it's
Yeah,
different the way women do it than we do it.
yes.
Than what you're saying.
Well, because women comes from the perspective of seeing other people, observing them, and saying, "Well, I know people, I know men, I know that." Well, first of all, if you get into this encounter already with the guys who might potentially hurt you, that says that you, even if you know man, you still choose to act, right? Or most
Yeah.
likely you don't know man, because now you see that this guy who is on TV is bad guy, cheating and hurting women. He actually might be very nice and loyal and kind to you and caring about you. And you see that, and you don't have a container to put him, right? Because by growing up, we have containers of observing other people in situations. We see familiar patterns and we're like, okay, I know where to put this guy, right? I'm like this. The same with women. What guys who have a lot of women in their life, they do the same. I know where to put her, I know where to put her, and etc. Right? So that's the problem. When someone who is on TV or on the journals, magazines, social media, supposed to be fuck boy, really cares about you, really loves you,
Mm-hmm.
loyal with you, asks you to be part of his life. He gives his time so you wouldn't ever worry that there is other women in his life. and you still choosing perspective of sabotaging yourself, then you need
Yeah.
honestly to ask, is it about him or is it about me? Because he did everything he could. There is nothing he can do anymore. That's the beauty. That's the beauty
So
of relationship. And usually exactly this type of relationship, they gives the most of chase, beauty, roller coasters, because one is always trying to find the reasons why it's not gonna work. Man or woman, doesn't matter.
yeah, it's
We
too
all
good to
like,
be true. No,
yeah,
this it can't be like this. You're too good. Like it's got to be something wrong with you. I
yeah,
gotta
you
find
want
it.
something from me. Well, of course
Yeah,
I do. I want you in my life. I want you to be part of my life.
that didn't sound personal either, Stan. But I'm reminded of the phrase that you said um, of 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 a woman can only truly be loved by a womanizer.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's actually, what's this funny thing? The guy that I mentioned in a lot of this podcast. So I'll tell the story. I'm not gonna say his name. Let's call him Mark, even though it's not
Oh wait,
his.
Mark.
So we have one common friend. She's very beautiful, very cool girl. She's engaged right now, like very interesting girl, very smart, beautiful. And she calls me one day and she says, I saw the reel on Instagram, and they say only the womanizer, only the guy who had a lot of women, he can truly love and being loyal to one woman.
Mm.
And she said, you know why I'm calling you? I'm like, no. She said, two people like this post, you and Mark. And I'm like, okay. But that's true, women um, who has this type of friends, right? Who hangs out with this type of guys, they start to understand the levels of that. They start to
Yeah.
understand that I would rather change the guy, change, I would rather take the guy uh, who already explored everything he wanted in the land of women than the guy who never did that. The guy who been chosen by women, because unfortunately in our times, guys who are in relationship, they mostly choose by women because she texted first, she liked, and then he decided to text her and etc. That
Yeah.
happens to us a lot as well, but there is another thing, do you have
Well,
options?
Stan, sorry, I just shared really quickly. My first girlfriend walked up to me and liked Asians. So, chosen by women, as you say, right? This is years ago.
Chosen by women indeed.
Please continue, but not in the good way.
Not in the
Yeah.
Yeah, so the idea comes there that they pick the guy who has no other women choosing him. That's the problem. When you're the only woman who is choosing him,
Imagine being
he will pick you out of the scarcity, which is never gonna be good for you.
imagine a man choosing a woman because he thinks that's the best I can do and I can't do any
Exactly.
better, as opposed to a guy that has tried everything that he wanted to try and then makes a choice. What do you think is a more real choice from abundance?
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Oh man. And and the guy that the woman picks, who she thinks this guy would never cheat on me and never hurt me like that again, ends up getting confidence from her and ends up cheating on her. The one that no other women like. The world is fucked up.
It might happen the completely opposite. You fulfilled all of her desires, and she said, "Well, I've got everything I wanted, la arrivederci." Or in English,
See you.
goodbye. Goodbye, right? So that's also might happen. And it might happen vice versa. Woman gave the last to him and he says, well, go find another guy. That's also might happen. But the point is, it's the balance. When equally two people invest into their own future,
Hmm.
what might happen in this type of relationship if people shaping the future together?
Yeah.
If not, like, that's what they say. There is many times you can see on Instagram, they say, we've been about to engage and he cheated on me. Or I gave her ring and then I found out that she has another guy. Yeah, because most likely you brought her into this situation to be engaged with you. She didn't want
Yeah.
to. So,
Or
if,
Stan, sorry, caveat. Like she might not have known or thought about it until I think of a recent situation. A girl had the most beautiful proposal from the guy,
yes,
except and they were together for years. Except when she said yes in the moment, but their relationship ended like 2 months after he proposed, and she said yes because she's like, oh shit. am I really ready to have a kid and spend the rest of my life with this guy? And the thing that felt true for her was no. But she hadn't had to confront that reality until being presented. So just a mirror of what you were saying right there, Stan.
Yeah, I would even build on that, everything that feels like responsibility, it's always scares people away because it requires you to admit that sometimes you're also responsible for the way relationship looks like or for the way
Mm-hmm.
your partner feels like. And I think the biggest misconception what guys and women I experience to when they woman or when their boyfriend says to them, this is what I didn't like, that's what I don't want in my life. That's how reality looked for me. You didn't notice that, but I did, right? When this thing's being said to your partner, um, and you didn't get any response from your partner, or your partner started to feel like you're attacking them or offending them or fighting them, that means that you're not gonna reach any conclusion because you're not saying that you're a bad person. If you're still trying to communicate, you're basically saying, I love you and I want to explain to you something because I love you and I don't want to afford to myself to lose you. I'm explaining to you just so it would never happen again. So the reality wouldn't be twisted. So we would be two people on the equal, uh, how to say that,
On the same page.
on the
Yeah.
same page and on the equal dynamics. You know,
Yeah.
that's uh, that's the biggest misconception because when woman or when the guy bringing this to their partner starts to say, "Oh, why you always attacking me? Oh, why you always unhappy? You always unsatisfied?" When
Mm.
basically the person is just trying to say that I want to spend life with you, but I want to make sure that the behavior that wasn't okay not gonna repeat itself.
Mhm.
That's the only thing, but it's very difficult to navigate because people sometimes they think if someone says such a thing to me, that means I'm a bad person, which is not true. You might be a great person who do mistakes. That's the reality. And you might be a bad person who is doing good things. It doesn't
Yeah.
take anything from you. You just need to admit if the person still talks to you, they really believe that you're a good person. They still love you. They're
Yeah.
there. They communicating to you. If
Well,
they would
feedback
just
and it's
attacking
not
you,
personal.
yes,
Mhm.
if they would just attacking you, or if they would really believe that you bad person, you wouldn't have this conversation ever.
If they didn't care, they would leave or not bring it up. If they didn't, yeah. Well, if we can talk quickly about attachment styles, right, Stan?
Mm,
One is like if the person feels threatened by the thing that but you might tell them whatever. Like, hey, I like you, sweetie, and I didn't like when you did that, so don't do it again, or else, like, you can go be with someone else that you want to do that with, because not around me, right? But they take it as you're not good enough, or I don't like you as a person. No, it's I like you, but I don't like your behavior in a sense, right? That's a more healthy way to communicate it. What's a
yes.
good way for you to communicate your boundaries in a firm, but not in a strong and firm way, but not like a like fuck you, like a like a shouting match and pure anger and this sort of thing.
Yeah. So, first of all, there is a way, right? And this way sounds like this. You give the person the chronology of the situation. And you say, this is how I felt after that. If it didn't land, there is nothing you cannot do. There is nothing you can do about that. If this person is committed to misunderstand you, there is
Yeah.
nothing you will bring there. They're just not there yet.
Mm.
And this is the self-help. I don't want
Mm.
to say that word. It's the word. This is the work they need to do on themselves.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You, there is no right tone. Well, in the end of the day, let's be honest. If person really, really on the same page with you and they're afraid of losing you, doesn't matter how you will say that. fear of hurting you and fear of minimizing your experience going to be way more painful for them than protecting their own ego.
Yeah. If they really love you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So it's true you mentioned the attachment styles. It's true that some of the attachment styles, they on the surface looks less empathetic, right? Um, which in fact not true. The most likely we talk right now about anxious and avoidant people, right? So yeah, I mean, there is misconception. People say that avoidant people don't feel anything. They feel, but they fear of changing the reality, changing the logistics, making the steps that looks like an investment into relationship for them is way stronger, right? So they they look on the surface like indifferent, or they look on the surface they don't want you, they don't love you, they hate you, or they pushing you away, which is not the case. They do feel everything. Maybe sometimes they feel even deeper than anxious partners feel, because
Mhm.
anxious partners, that's a misconception, like many people say, well, it's so bad to be anxious. Well, no, actually, because when the relationship is ended, anxious person will get over way sooner. They will suffer first 2 weeks very painfully, but for avoidant partner, it will go for years because they
Mhm.
suppress their emotions. They don't face themselves. They try to make themselves busy. They try to say that it's not the right timing. This is not the right circumstances. This is not the right weather or whatever, right? And they avoid, but it's still leaking all over, And the third glass of wine might be the exactly glass of wine that will open up all the feelings, right?
Or the missed bus. Yeah.
Miss Bus, yeah, in Bukowski terms, yes. So yes, if you talk about attachments, it's one of the things. Also, I think there is no really correlation because some of the anxious partners, they also can be uh, programmed to misunderstand you just because they feel like, because that anxiety comes of fear of being abandoned, right? So what they start feeling, they feel like, okay, if I will accept their reality, I will be left. And the same for avoidant people, I think. But there is
Yeah.
another part, there is a lot of people talk about narcissists right now. And I think all of us ultimately are narcissists, right? But there is healthy narcissism, and there is narcissism that hurt people around. So unhealthy narcissism is when life goes only on your terms without considering other person experience. And I think that's why it became very popular on Instagram for women who are going through heartbreaks, right? Because they see that they might be exactly that person who never considered they experience, their needs, right? It's also many guys right now talk about the same because there is women who just takers, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I think the biggest misconception about that people need at one point just to decide for themselves: am I willing to live on so many? Am is this the relationship I want to stay in? There is so many conditions, and that I always need to perform to be the best version of myself. I need to
Mhm.
be overthinker. I need to care about the future of relationship. I need to beg. I need to shape future. I need to bring the next perspectives. I need to talk about visions. If there is good saying, I don't remember, but some of the psychologists recently said it. The point when you feel like two of you sitting in the car and all you do is bring in the next step, future, and etc., and another person is just sitting like this, you cannot, there is
Mhm.
nothing you can do.
It's over.
Yes.
The one other thing was eye rolling, I think. I think Zan mentioned that.
Hmm.
When one partner is trying to be helping and when the other one's just rolling their eyes, it's like it's over, it's done.
Yes, it's about disrespect.
Mm.
We also been mentioning that comes
Mhm.
to the relationship,
So there's a point you made, which is some guy could be the perfect seducer, taking girls home the night he meets them, and when he get like thousands, whatever, he might have a great place, he might have whatever live nearby, he might. Except when you put that guy in the different arena of a healthy, mature relationship with one woman or multiple, he might feel like a virgin. He might feel like completely not knowing what to do. It's different parts of this art of love. So, two questions to kind of close out on, Stan. One is, why does a woman start treating you disrespectfully? And two is, how can a man remain open hearted without becoming a doormat or accepting the bare minimum or lowering his standards? What is a healthy way to navigate this? And sometimes the best thing to do is just to leave after being disrespected. But sometimes, if she's really, we talked about behavior change, and if there's a real visible change in actions and behavior and identity, then that is maybe good enough to stay in relationships. So, how, in your mind, is the best way for a guy to navigate that without becoming closed hearted? How can he remain himself and kind after experiencing disrespect or being treated very poorly by women? Because women test men all the time. See if you can take a punch as well.
It's exactly the answer, what you mentioned, women test man. They do it unconsciously, right? But if you expanded your boundaries in the very beginning, right, just to avoid the conflict, just to avoid the
Well, even that, sorry, expanded your boundaries. Like your boundaries weren't firm. You became loose and flexible. Or
yes, yes.
okay,
When
wow.
the walls of your boundaries became thinner, there
what's the
is
what's the quote? What's the quote that you like, Stan? With spaghetti. If you're
oh, I'm not sure I can say that.
just say it, say it.
We will be banned, but yeah, women like
Okay.
spaghetti, hard to break until they wet.
Okay. I think we keep it in. But yeah, please continue. I think you're going somewhere with the question. YouTube Shorts.
So yeah, the idea, if your woman becomes disrespectful to you, it's most likely you let her disrespect you in the small ways that
Mm.
led you to the situations that are very unacceptable in any normal healthy relationship. Nobody takes responsibility out of her how to behave and how to be best version of the partner in relationship. But for you in the first place, if you accepted that, if you've been so afraid of losing her, now you will lose her definitely, but on way worse circumstances because now she, out of the person you could live with respect, you live in right now the person who also disrespecting you, talking to you the way that you wouldn't accept it even from your friends or coworkers, etc., right? So
Mhm.
usually this disrespect comes step by step, right? But you tolerating too much, forgiving too much. It's okay to forgive once, it's okay to forgive twice, maybe thrice, but when you see the repair after that, right? When you know that the person you've forgiven, they don't repeat the same behavior again, and they trying to maximize your experience after that. They trying to
Mhm.
make your experience better. If it never happened and you just continuously uh, been forgiven, well, good luck. Then the next question you will navigate that why she cheated on me because it's
Yeah.
straightly connected.
Because she felt like she could get away with disrespecting you. So it's
Yes,
like if you can, what's a good metaphor? Take one, like you can take one step, you can take a whole mile. You know?
I think David X said if you give her palm, she will take a whole hand.
Okay. Yeah, I see. Yeah.
So
And so
it's
your
very
boundaries
strong. It's
that you
very.
set as a man have to be like they have to be firm, and you have to be okay with losing her if she
Yes.
disrespects your boundaries. Sometimes, actually.
I think in our Samarata in the very beginning, years ago. It was a lot of discussions around the topic that your fear of losing shouldn't be so strong in your relationship that you would start agreeing on everything you wouldn't agree normally.
Incredible. Yeah.
They used
Yeah.
to talk a lot about that, but in my opinion, it's very powerful tool and a powerful idea because um, I think this is what brings equality. Because basically, if you really care about your woman, in any case, you will, after your mistakes, changing your behavior and will try to maximize her experience and to forget about what happened, right?
Hmm.
If she's not doing the same, then first of all, there is no equality. Definitely, she's not going to see you as the leader, but she will lead because she will understand that, well, I have way more freedom in this relationship, so I am the leader. And the second part of the question that you asked, how to stay open-hearted.
Open-hearted.
You know, all my ex-girlfriends, they've been asking me, how you, after such a tremendous and poisonous and toxic relationship with your previous ex, stayed so enthusiastic and happy and still not afraid of my walls and etc. etc.
Yeah.
And I still don't know, but I don't know.
Maybe, sorry, Stan. I know. No, I'm just kidding. Well, let me try though. Your
Try.
happiness exists outside of your relationship.
Yes, that's what I
Yeah.
think. That's what I wanted
Yeah.
to say. That's we talked with Jordan today in the morning briefly about that. And another part to that, I think I think what will never ever give you a chance to give up and to close your heart. It's just the idea. I want to experience this romantic, beautiful fairy tale. Or at least
Hmm.
once. Okay, these 10 women hurt me before, but at least once I will experience, I will meet this woman. I
Yeah.
she will look exactly I want her to look like. She will be on the same page, she will be the same enthusiastic, the same happy, the same courageous as me, and etc.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what very much helps you. It's like I think very similar to building business, you know. You
Mm.
can fail 5 times, but you will say to yourself, but I still want to make 6 figures or 7 figures.
Hmm.
And you just continue trying until you realize that you never get that. Or you get that.
Or
You
you. Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
I
Stan.
think
So there's a quote. There's a quote. Sorry. So sorry to interrupt you. From, I think it's from Huxley that I saw from you, which
mm,
was, why is it that the romantics, I'm misquoting it, disguise themselves as cynics? And I think it applies to what you're saying.
yes.
How many times for your romantic ideal can you be let down and not achieve it, uh, before you give up, if you ever give up, or you don't give up?
I think you don't remember correctly this quote. Huxley said
Yeah.
it pretty much this way. He said that all current cynics are ex-romantics. That's the point. And that's very true. The person who calls themselves, I'm the realist, I just know everything about people. It's usually the person who's been hurt so bad and never overcame that. Also, Huxley said that the secret of being great artist is to preserve childish childish energy in yourself, because all the great artists, they ultimately are children still till the last day of their life, you know. And there is nothing wrong to have this wounded boy energy when you work with this, right? It's way worse when you just completely shut down yourself and say, no, I need to be man, so you lose the playfulness of you being childish. um Yeah, that's what I would love to say. I think the moment you start, what we rarely do, and I talked to one of our friends recently. He've been for many years getting into the wrong relationship. Just not the relationship he wanted, right? And he said beautiful thing that me, at least in my search, is starting to understand it way better. If you know what you want, right? You have the clear image of what you want. If you're not just going to get a woman not to be lonely, if you're not going there out of scarcity, or if you're not going just to get as much numbers as you can in your bed or on your Instagram, if the purpose you going into the land of women is to meet the woman of your dreams, when you sure how she supposed to look like, how she is showing up in relationship, you will meet that. It's uninventable, and that's what many people on when we see these romantic movies or reels on Instagram, and we say, let's just the stories, right? Like many people sharing, women or men, they sharing. I came out of such a dark period, and in 2 years I met the person I always been dreaming since my childhood. That's because you finally admitted that that's what I want. I don't want validation from being big womanizer and getting all the women. I don't want to be with the woman who reminds me my mom and traumas that my mom gave to me when I was a child. When when you admit to yourself and saying, I don't want to be there when I need to beg for the bare minimums. When you admit that the image you wanted initially is totally different from what you built in the process, you will get it. You will feel fulfilled, healthy, and for and if you keep it in your mind, this will help you to keep your heart open enough until you will meet this woman. But
So,
that's
Stan, I
it's
searched
my
up the quote. I searched up two quotes when I was listening to you.
go ahead.
One is from Huxley first. Cynical realism is the intelligent man's best excuse for doing nothing. So, this is the idea of people that disguise themselves as realists because they've been hurt were actually in the past the ultimate romantics, the most dreamy of us,
Mhm.
that have been hurt so bad that they no longer believe in those dreams. And two, just simply a cynic is a disillusioned romantic with without attribution of the quote.
Yeah, because there is no point to become cynic or quote unquote realist
Yeah,
if you had only beautiful experiences. Why would you become?
yeah. Hmm.
And once
So then part of the art is to remain in touch with that childlike wonder and fascination and not naivety but hopefulness that
yes.
that person is out there and there's another hopeful person out there waiting for the exact same thing to meet you, actually, in a sense.
And there is another part that people are very afraid of, but sometimes two of you need to 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 take space separately until
Mm-hmm.
both of you will realize how important you are in each other lives.
Well, so this is the idea. Like sometimes you cannot get the other person to see what they're missing out on while you're both still there, and they just need to lose you to see what they missed out on. They have to lose you for them to realize what they could have had. That is the only way. But what
And
is
if you always stay in there, right? And you know that you had 1,000 conversations and they led nowhere.
Mhm.
So there is most likely the answer to you. Actions.
Maybe don't convince them and maybe leave and say my door's open to you, but I'm going to leave.
Yeah, I remember
Oh.
Zan was saying for years, leave, 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 and
Lead, lead, lead.
lead. Yeah, but I think guys, I imagine that for many guys, because Land of Women is also a rough place, especially in the beginning, right? So once the guy meets the woman that matches his standards, that he thinks he has compatibility with, and etc., he prefers not to come back into the Land of Women because
Yeah,
rejections, staying all night long awake, going out every day of the week. It takes a lot of energy, you know. And
yeah.
he
That,
stays in whatever relationship, even if they've fallen apart. Then he excuses himself, saying, "Wow, but I invested so much in this relationship. I gave years of
yeah.
my life."
Yeah.
But you will always find the excuses, so that's not gonna bring you anywhere.
Easier to be in a relationship than to put yourself back out there and figure all the things out again. And that's why the most interesting demographic is guy that was in a relationship for years and then ends a relationship and has to be single again and doesn't know what to do because he was so comfortable in the relationship,
Yeah.
as opposed to having to be dateable, to be attractive to women, to be his most shining self that might have became blurred or dulled from the time spent in a relationship for, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's comfort, Stan, where
It's
it's
definitely
like,
comfort, and there is another thing into that. What they think what they call the comfort, it's usually the bare minimum.
mm-hmm, it's good
So
enough.
it's good
Yeah.
enough, yeah. It's good enough. It's not perfect, but it's good enough.
There's a idea which we can expand more upon next week, and I think we should close with this thought. One way in a relationship to avoid this complacency and, oh, I have my person, let's just grow old together. We don't feel any passion, and we're just roommates and things like this. But it's good enough. Is letting, in my opinion, and I'm influenced by Johnny's point on heavyweight, the persons have the option to see other people. I'll say it differently. This is from Zan's book. A butterfly must know that it can leave. Only then might it stay forever.
Yeah.
So, if both parties in the relationship know that they might be replaced by a better option, they have plenty of motivation to remain and evolve and grow and remain their and stay their person's best option. Otherwise, they'll be left. As opposed to knowing, okay, well, they can't see anyone else, and I can't see anyone else, so therefore we're good. And there's no need to be my best, greatest self. And this will be a discussion we can have more in depth then.
I hugely disagree here.
Yeah, yeah.
I will tell why, because one of the reasons there is a lot of people who, by feeling that they can be replaced, they will choose the perspective of being victim. Oh, they always leave me. I knew from the very beginning it's not gonna work out. They will cheat on me. They will leave me. Instead of asking the question,
They'll blame themselves in a bad way, without the responsibility we talked about.
I don't think they will even blame themselves, because victims are not blaming themselves. They're using the opportunity to be victims.
Oh, excuse me, they're blaming circumstances.
Yes, because victim is someone who is blaming everyone around to avoid the responsibility for what did I do to make situation better. That's the thing. But the topic that we're going to discuss the next episode is definitely going to be way deeper than that.
Yeah, for sure. And one caveat I would mention is, just because you have the option to see others doesn't mean you need to exercise it. But sometimes I would argue what you need to offer to your other person is the freedom to see others, so then they might not take that option.
Yeah.
But it's not a strategy. You must really mean it, but there's a sense of that actually increases your odds of them not seeing other people than to try and say you can't see other people, in a sense. But we can explore further in the next week. So Stan, I felt this was a very strong episode. And do you have any closing thoughts before I invite everybody to come to Bucharest, Romania on August 1st to September 1st for the first pirate ship expedition immersion, which we'll expand upon in future episodes. But the brief idea of it is we'll be in town. It's not a coaching experience, but we're going to be going out, experiencing the beautiful Bucharest nightlife and daytime for guys that are more oriented towards that. And we'll have dinners, we'll break bread together, we'll drink wine together, and we'll go out together and live this experience full time, because how is any lasting transformation supposed to happen online or over 2 days? You're not going to get a microchip implanted in your brain we might be able to condense 10 years into 10 months of learning, but that's still a process. And so we want to offer something experiential. We have nothing to sell, but we are planning this experience in about 3 weeks' time, from August to September. This is Adventure Zero, and those that hear the call will leave a link below for more information on that. And the lived version of everything we're talking about here, to reiterate what we said in the first episode, none of this matters. Better that you don't listen to this if you're not going to take it and go out and apply it in the real world. Stan, when you were saying, especially when you mentioned some girls are only takers, I thought of specific examples of individuals who I will not name that come to mind from a place of, well, that sucked. I don't want to be around that kind of person again. And I'm not perfect, obviously, on my end as well. But that's a lived memory. Like, we can put names and stories to concepts because that's from lived experience as opposed to conceptualization and hypothesis and theorizing. So come live it with us if you feel so compelled and if you dare. And if you don't come, it's okay too, because we're going anyways. What are your closing thoughts, Stan, for this episode?
I will mention Shams Tabrizi quote, Sufik mystic. He said, "You fear losing what was never yours, but nothing belongs to you but the journey."
How can you lose what you never owned in the first place? Beautiful.